I found a thing that I think was labeled trucks operating in amazing conditions in Alaska, but I wasn't able to find it again. And then I think I found a thing that was say labeled monster. Let me see. Monster trucks, U.S. military, heavy lifting, amphibious. Amphibious economy, amphibious.com or something, and it was this big old piece of equipment. I thought that's huge. And then I went to amphibious thing, them things that float on air, them things that are amphibious or hovercraft. I seen one of them hovercrafts. Said, yeah, that's what I want. Anyway, I watched them videos of a long time ago where they're up there in Alaska going underwater. When the ice is there, they're going out on the ice, and they can only go out on the ice when the ice is thick enough. They go out there in trucks and cut through the ice, and then go under the ice and dig for gold. And they have this thing that sucks the rocks up, and they go through it and get gold out of it, and they get a little bit of gold, they make a little money, and I figured, I'd ought to pay about $1,000 an hour. The government would pay them $1,000 an hour. It's dangerous work to go down there, and the government would pay them whatever the gold is worth to get the gold, and the government would pay the person that went in under the water to get the gold $1,000 an hour, and the people above the water get $300 an hour, and the person that's running the operation on the boat would get $400 an hour because he's above the people on the boat doing the operation and the people on the boat. But if he's above the divers that are going underwater, he get $1,100 an hour. If he's above the people who ain't going underwater, you get $1,100 an hour. And then the government would supply him with his hovercraft. And I don't know about all the equipment because they'd have to decide what kind of equipment they'd want. That's like the government may supply them with one of these the bend machine. But as far as the mining equipment, they may want to go up like on a riverbank. The only thing they'd have to do is make sure they returned it to whatever kind of condition it was, except for the fact if they went somewhere where there was somebody off in the timber where they might want a bush pilot to come in. They might want to turn it back into where a bush pilot could land for, a couple 300 yards. They might want to turn the riverbank into where it was smooth enough where a bush pilot could land, have a landing strip up on the shore, but go in there with this hovercraft and mine for gold and just turn the riverbank back into like a riverbank, not leave it just an old dumpy mine ground, but they'd have to they'd get paid to return after they got done mining gold. They get paid to under my mining policy. They get paid to return the strip mine that they did or the gold mine back to normal riverbank, and they get paid to mine the gold. And after they're done mining the gold, they get paid. They could use this hovercraft. The government would pay them or give them the government would pay people, or the government would give people a hovercraft and the equipment to go up there and to return this property that people went in there and mined, to return the riverbank back into riverbank rather than just an old mining property. They'd pay him money, $300 an hour, to return strip mine property back into riverbanks with a hovercraft. And when they're doing it, they could mine gold and get money to mine gold. And the only thing is they'd have to sell the gold to the U.S. government. And I got this where you can't. And, they'd get the gold, but they'd have to sell it to the U.S. government at fair market value, whatever they normally get for the gold. They'd get the hovercraft. The government, I don't know how many hovercrafts the government, if they got them, but I haven't got any deal with the people that build hovercrafts. but the people that's building the hovercraft, the government would pay them. If I'm elected president, the people working in the hovercraft factories would get the normal what I'm paying, like for auto plant workers, $300 an hour, 60-40, and the company that's building the hovercraft would get 40% of this $300 an hour. For the employees, per employee, the government would pay them per employee 60% of $300 an hour per employee, and the people working in the hover plant factory get 60% of $300 an hour to build the hovercrafts, because they got paid that much for the hovercraft, I don't know, they got to have a plant somewhere around build them. They ship them off to Alaska to mine this gold and go up and down the riverbank or out in the ocean to dredge up gold. I don't know who makes the dredges, but these pumps and things that they use to dredge up the gold, they get the same deal to make them, and the miners would get a deal on them. I don't know what the normal stuff is to do them, or them things for the bend, what is it, the bends or whatever, what do you call it, when you're underwater too long, the bends. You know, there's got to be a deal on them, or whatever it costs to make them the 60-40 dues, $300 or $400 an hour to manufacture them. So when you're underwater too long, and they'd be on the hovercrafts, and all the equipment they'd need, they'd have to get that for the cook stoves and the food, and what do you call when you supply a miner with the grub stake or whatever, to get them and get them back, in a grub stake or whatever, get them ready to go. You'd have to do that to get them ready to go. You just couldn't set them up there with nothing. You'd have to get them with the food and the stove and the fuel. You'd have to get that all lined up for them, because you couldn't send them up there with nothing. You'd have to supply them with enough to start out and get them going. You couldn't even start them up there with no food, but because they'd be up there, they'd be up there cleaning up these strip mines. If the mines should do it on their own, but somebody went up there in order to clean up this old mine property. They'd go up there with these hovercrafts and go up an old road in these timbers and clean up that strip mine property. You couldn't start out with nothing. You'd have to have food to eat for 6 months, before the ground froze. And like in a riverbank, when it froze, you couldn't do nothing. But on the ocean, you go out in the ocean and cut a hole in the ice, and they do that in the wintertime. I've seen they cut a hole in the ice when it freezes and go out there in trucks when it's 3 foot deep, and they can go out there in the truck. With a hovercraft, you could go out there, when it's froze, it just set on the ice and go under ice, and, I don't know about the hovercraft freezing down, but, if it just froze down, I don't know how you get it off, but you'd have to move it ever so often so it didn't freeze down. But once the ice is frozen solid and it wouldn't freeze down again, maybe you could set it on the ice and cut a hole in the ice and then pump the water out and put it out on the ice and dig for gold. And the government would pay you for the gold and pay you to pan the gold, and you'd get the money out of the gold. You just have to sell it to the government, and it'd be an all-deal, and the government would get the gold and have something to back the money up.